Mind control, understanding mind control, gives us a comprehension of what we're actually seeing and gives us an understanding of numerous aspects of not only what we're seeing. Mind control, understanding mind control, gives us a comprehension of what we're actually seeing and gives us an understanding of numerous aspects of not only what we're seeing in society, but on a global scale as well. Because it's a common thread that ties everything together. It's that last piece of the puzzle that pulls the whole picture into focus where we can actually fully understand what it is we're seeing. Because once we understand it, we no longer have to fear it. We're no longer left to superstition. We're no longer left to fearing what's coming next, what's coming next. Instead, we don't. We know exactly what's going on, and we can think beyond what we're being told. We can think beyond what the media allows us to know. We can expand our thinking and learn to stand strong with a strength of spirit and soul conviction to make a positive difference in our own lives and in our own little areas of society. And ultimately that will expand further and further and further. But it begins with awareness. The abuse that I was enduring under MK Ultra mind control was so extensive that I lost all my awareness. I lost my ability to reason. I lost my ability to question anything. More and more, I could only do exactly what I was told to do with no ability to hope anymore that there was some place in the world where people didn't hurt each other. Not only was my whole environment saturated with this abuse, but I couldn't even think anymore to hope.
Well, that was Kathy. Kathy was a sex slave for a congressman, a U.S. senator, and several CIA agents. She knows all about mind control because that's what they did to her. They numbed her down to the point where they could not only take her daughter and use her daughter, who's still in the MK Ultra mind control program. And it makes me wonder how many thousands of children have been taken from their families and disappeared into an adoption family that you're never told who's got your kid, and they're turned into a sex slave. Just makes you wonder. Now, Kathy says she's gotten out of that, and it was all about learning to feel again, to not be numbed down by what they're doing to her. And she had a former CIA operative named Philip who helped her get out of this mess. My feeling is our whole country is being numbed down to where we no longer care what happens to our neighbor or our neighbor's son or daughter. We just like, oh, well, it's not my problem. I'll just stay back. And these ridiculous laws. 3 states have passed laws. One's already been held unconstitutional, that you cannot videotape a police officer in the performance of his duty. My question is, if he's beating Kelly Thomas to death, is he doing his duty? Even if there was a law saying you can't tape him, is he doing his duty? I don't know. But I think these laws are unconstitutional. Please welcome with me Raina, a woman from Orange County. Welcome, Raina.
Hi, I'm actually from San Joaquin County.
San Joaquin
Yes.
County. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You see, we really didn't do a lot of pre-production interviewing here. You had a brother.
Correct.
What was his name?
Ernest Duenas Jr.
Ernest
Duenas
Duenas
Jr.
Jr. Do we have a family picture of him?
Yes.
Let me see your family picture. There it is, people. How many children did he have? Did he have a wife?
He has a wife and one son.
He still has a wife.
Correct.
And one
Widow
son.
and a son.
And here's the picture of them. What happened to your brother, Raina?
On June 8th of 2012, 2011, sorry, he was killed. He was shot 13 times, which 11 bullets hit him by Officer Moody of Manteca as he was exiting a vehicle.
Officer
John Moody.
John Moody
Correct.
shot your brother down. Did your brother have a gun in his hand?
No, no weapons.
He had no weapons
No
at all.
weapon. He was getting out of a truck and had his hands up. He had his foot stuck in a seatbelt and he was losing his balance as his officer was telling him to don't move and put your hands up. So he had his hands up and trying to get out of the vehicle. He's falling already to the floor as the officer starts shooting
Let
at
me
him.
see the next picture. This is your brother?
This is my brother,
His full name was, here's another picture of your brother,
Ernest Duenas Jr.
Ernest Duenas Jr.
Correct.
Murdered in what city?
Manteca, California.
Manteca. I have a nephew who lives in Manteca. I wonder if my nephew Barry knows of this incident. We got this up? Okay. It looks like he's a pretty happy guy generally. Looks
Correct.
like he loves his son.
Very much so. He loved his son.
Why do you think they killed him? Why did this officer do this?
We're not sure. I don't know if he already had some kind of vendetta with him or we're not sure why he did it.
Did your brother ever mention
He
Officer Moody's got it in for me? Or?
he didn't mention Officer Moody by name, but he had run-ins when he was younger with the cops, and he knew that the cops had once told him, "You better stay out of Manteca or else," and they would make threats to him. But that was years before, and when he came home, he had his son, his wife, and was doing really well, and so we don't know if they just always had it, had something for him, or
You say came home. Came home from where?
well, he had done some time. And
Did some time in a prison for what?
He he had a drug problem.
He had a
For
drug
drugs,
problem.
yeah. And so he came home and really changed his whole life around. He had a son, and that was his love of his life. We really made him.
He had a son after he came home.
His girlfriend was actually pregnant when he went into jail, and so when he came home, she had just had the baby.
So he did a little over a year in jail
Correct.
or
About a year.
state prison?
Yes.
State prison or jail?
Jail. Sorry, jail.
County jail.
Yes.
And he comes home. He sees he's got a son. He's all happy.
He's very happy.
His whole life changes.
Changes.
Done with the
completely.
drugs.
Done with the drugs. Done with his friends. Done with everything.
Done with the friends that connected him to the
Correct.
drugs.
He
Now he's
wanted-
centered on his wife, whose name was
Whitney Duenas.
Whitney
Mm-hmm.
Duenas.
Duenas.
And Officer Mooney and the others just figure he hasn't changed. He's the same. You think that's what's going through their head?
What happened was his wife moved back to Manteca. She wanted to move back to Manteca, and he kind of followed her, and he got his parole officer. He tested dirty, so I guess he was using marijuana, and so his parole officer had called, and they had said, he has to come in for like 30 days. His parole officer, we talked to him, and he said that he told them he wasn't a threat, he wasn't dangerous man, nothing.
Parole officer told the police this.
Told the police this.
This is on the court record now.
Yeah, and the court record also says that Officer Moody states that when he got the phone call, that he said he wasn't dangerous. He wasn't dangerous. He wasn't.
So Moody knew he wasn't dangerous.
Correct.
This is just a young dad who had a puff of marijuana.
Yeah. So he's getting out of the vehicle. He's like
Raina,
staging him
Do you realize, based on that, having a puff on marijuana,
because he
you
tested dirty.
you could have killed, if that's the reason to kill somebody, everybody I served with in Vietnam, except me, I didn't smoke marijuana, but everybody else in my company could have been killed. Mm-hmm. Everybody in my company in Vietnam was doing pot. Everybody except me. I was the one exception, and I just wasn't going to go there. And if we're going to start killing people
He
because
said
they smoke pot, I don't think that should even be a parole
he
violation.
thought that he had a knife. From what somebody else that didn't like my brothers knew that he was going to do the 30 days. He had to go back to jail. I think with my brother, because we told him, just go do your time, and then you're done. You're done with your parole like in 30 days. But his son's birthday was that week, the next week. And so he's like, I'll turn myself in, because he wanted to be there when his son turned 1. I mean, he waited like 30 years to have a son, and so, you know. But so this guy that don't like him, and it's all in the reports, you know, he called in and said that my brother had a knife. What had happened is he had gave my brother a knife when they went to his house. He was with an older man. He was helping fix cars. Well, the guy gave my brother a knife. Well, the older man that was with him, he said, give me that knife, and threw it in the back of the truck. So he knew my brother couldn't be around any kind of weapons, you know. So the man that actually, I think Officer Moody assumed, okay, he has a weapon, so this is my excuse, or, you know, they didn't know that they threw the knife in the back of the truck so that it wouldn't be on his person, you know. So when he gets out of the vehicle, he right away just thinks he has a knife, which even if he had a knife on his person, I mean, that's not a reason to shoot him 13 times. But yeah, I think he just went there thinking, okay, he has a knife, and that's going to be my justification, is to find a weapon. Because if in the video it shows him searching my brother's body, you know, looking for some kind of weapon, and he doesn't ever find anything.
Let's look at the video. Do we have that video ready? Well, let's take a look at this. This is horrible.
Hands up! Hands up, Ernie! Don't you move! Ernie, don't you move! I will shoot you! Hands up! Now! Drop the knife now! On the ground! Get back now! Shot fired. Suspect armed with a knife. Stay in control. Get back now! Get back now! Get back now! Get back now! Hands up! Hands up!
God, she's standing there watching them kill her husband right in front of her.
And she's telling them he's still alive, get him help.
Wow.
And that's not even, I don't think that's the worst part of the whole video, because if you continue to watch it, it's 20 minutes long. But in the first 6 minutes, it shows him dragging my brother from the vehicle, cutting the seatbelt off of his leg, tearing off his clothes, flipping him around. You can actually hear my brother moaning and for his last breaths as he's taking him. And then the whole time he's not giving him any kind of medical attention.
Do we have more of that tape?
Yeah, it's a long tape.
Do we have more of that tape?
It's 20 minutes long.
Well, I would just...
But if you look with the first 6 minutes, is when it shows that they don't call for an ambulance. The medical, the
This
hospital.
is the police's own tape, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Let's go back and see that again. You got a image here from your website.
Correct.
Protected
flag.
murderer. Officer John Moody is
Correct.
a protected murderer. It certainly would appear that Officer Moody, of course I haven't spoken to Officer Moody, he may have a different opinion, but from what I see in that tape, there was no reason to fire the first shot.
He had said in his statement that my brother charged at him, but it was obvious to see that he never charged at him. He wasn't even out of the vehicle when he started shooting. He says, you know, my brother's losing his balance. He's already falling to the floor as he starts shooting. But
Just amazing. So this is the flyer. Thank you. Let's take a look at the rest of that. Maybe we can see that from the beginning again. I mean, if you miss this, people, you just tuned in. This is worth seeing. Thank you. Officer arrives. Listen.
Hands up! Hands up, Ernie! Don't you move! Ernie, don't you move! I will shoot you! Hands up! Now! Drop the knife now! On the ground! Get back now! Shot fired. Suspect armed with a knife. Stay in control. Get back now! Get back now! Get back now! Get back now! Hands up! Hands up! Get back!
Hey, listen, let me a little bit of more of this tape.
Yeah, one roll next. Go to stage. Towers.
I mean, it's obvious he tripped as he's
tripping.
getting out of the vehicle. I don't see why they're still pointing at him. He's already down on the ground.
they handcuffed him actually after he's already dying. And like I said, they're flipping his body around the whole time as he's taking his breaths. And the whole time his wife's saying, like, get him some help. There's a hospital literally like 6 houses around the corner. And it took them 6 minutes to even call for medics.
A hospital
Correct.
around the corner.
Right around the corner.